Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast. It's Wednesday. We're going live. We got Mark Zinno stepping in for Adam Trigger. We got CT Bet 16 on Twitter, Chris Thurston, Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter, Barstool Sportsbook, WagerTalk.com. I am Drew Martin, back stateside. We got March Madness picks coming to you, maybe a little NBA as well from Mark Zinno. Who knows? Spring training, throw it out there if we got it. Going around the horn here, Chris Thurston at CT Bet 16. Welcome into the show, buddy. How you feeling?
Drew Martin Betts, happy March. I'm doing very well, thank you. It's very nice to have you back. Although Kellyanne did do a fabulous job filling in for you, it is nice having you back as the host, and it's going to be very nice not having to listen to my good friend Adam Trigger say the same thing over and over again on his breakdown. Drew, I'm doing great, to be honest with you. I had a great night last night, and I'm just ready to keep it rolling here. And how about that St. Mary's D, man? Did you see how well they are? They played tough. That Mary's D. Everybody just talks about it, Drew. So I'm still celebrating my Zaga future that I gave out on this show. So all is well here, and let's get ready to rock and roll.
The Zags in the conference. CT Bet's giving it out. I like that pick. And he mentioned Kelly Stewart doing a great job hosting. Kelly, I was actually on the plane. I listened to the whole show last week. You did a fantastic job hosting.
Except for my Viva read. Like, I literally had the Viva read on the screen in front of me. Couldn't even read my own notes. It's kind of a travesty. You know, I make fun of Trigger about being stupid, but that was probably one of the lower points in 2023 for me, was just not being able to read. Shout out to Adam. I guess, what game is he at? Colgate?
Yeah, Colgate.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so he's at Colgate, which means he's probably on Colgate or some semblance. No, he's on the other side?
Yeah, I mean, I have a future on Colgate to win the Patriot, but I'm gonna jump back in here on Lafayette, getting way too many points tonight. Trigger's all over Lafayette, and he's right. He's on the right side.
Okay, well, that's where he's at. I yelled at him only once today because he failed to add the link in the tweet per usual. So I'm also glad he's not here, CT.
Trig, hopefully enjoying the game there, hitting a bunch of games powered by WagerTalk. We are powered by WagerTalk.com. Check it out for free picks and the best free live odds in the industry, and VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. If you guys haven't tried it, it is good. 4 good flavors. We can do a vote on what's the best flavor. Heard that last week. I thought it was funny. But guys, go to VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. If you use the Hustle20 promo code, it takes 20% off. A guy that likes Viva and a guy that's hot right now. Mark, I'm not sure exactly where you're at. I think 6-0, 7-0, something like that in NBA college basketball. We're happy to have you on at Mark Zinno on Twitter. Mark, welcome in, buddy. How are you feeling?
Always great to be here. I at least can confirm that with Trig out, the show might not have gotten better looking, but it certainly got smarter. So there is that. I mean, we can all genuinely agree there. It's been a good run, and CT's been there for the last 2+ days. That Pitt win we snuck out today, 7-0 so far, with a couple of games pending still. It's been a good run over the last couple of days. So the Hustle Show, sleeves optional, winners not. There you go.
Like that.
Sun's out, guns out. Absolutely, Mark. Always a good time, man. Well, we got big game breakdown first up. We got best bets coming around. March Madness, college basketball, CT bets. I know Big 12 getting going here. What, the opening round? Did you have one circled?
Yeah, Drew, for the opening round, I'm going to leave that as my best bet.
Okay.
But I have a big game breakdown that goes tonight, and that's actually in your wheelhouse. You like the late night games here, and I'm going the Pac-12 tournament, Drew.
Conference of Champions.
Yeah, it's the Conference of Champions, and that's the late night special tonight. It's the nightcap here in the Pac-12. And I'm going Arizona State at Oregon State here, and we get a Sun Devil team really comes into this Pac-12 tournament in terrible form, really, and they're facing some big pressure here to make the big dance. The Sun Devils, as you know, Drew, they started off hot, right? So their best start since 1980. They ripped off 6 of their first 7 in conference, but that really kind of fell flat, and they ended the season in really disappointing fashion. They've lost 8 of their last 13 games. And Drew, I know you look at their record, right? It's 20-11. It really, the record hides how disappointing this season has been in Tempe. They really struggle to get the ball in the hoop offensively. They rank 315th in field goal percentage and 329th in 3-point percentage. Really not ideal. On the other side here, we get Coach Wayne Tinkle. He did a great job back in 2021, leading the Beavers to their first ever Pac-12 championship and a nice run as a 5 seed. Kel, I still have nightmares of us watching that game in Morton Steakhouse in Vegas that absolutely crippled both of us. This was the last night of the first weekend. As I was handicapping this game, I thought of it, so I just thought I'd remind you.
I think we're at Del Frisco's because I demanded that John Murray get us a limo because we lost so much money that day. I was like, I need a Westgate limo right now. I want food, and then by the time our food came, I couldn't even eat. I was so sick to my stomach.
Yeah, and Kel, since then, if it makes you feel any better, it's been an absolute disaster for Wayne Tinkle and the Beavers since that run. So, Drew, Arizona State, they won both matchups this year, 74-69 and 68-57. Like to point out, though, the Beavers, they led in both games at the break here. So I think this game comes down to I really haven't liked what I've seen out of this Sun Devil team the past couple of months. They're playing very undisciplined. They take wild shots at times. Sometimes they fall. The majority of the time they have not been. Coach Hurley has been getting very, very aggravated there on the bench, losing his mind. You could tell he's the team's kind of unraveled a little bit here. You could really tell they've just not been consistent. I do not trust this team to cover double digits against anyone right now, Drew. They're also 4-10 ATS in their last 14. Wayne Tinkle and the Beavs, they've been known to play well in neutral site games. This is too many tonight, guys. I don't think we're going to see a blowout. Play on the Oregon State Beavers, +11.
Double-digit dogs there. Forks down. Go on the Beavers. Like it. Great breakdown, CT Bets. Kelly Stewart, tough follow here. Conference of Champions. I don't know. Are we heading back to it? A couple games there. Big 12. What are you looking at?
We're going to go to the Big 10. I'll save the Big 12 for my best bet at the end of the show. It actually goes tomorrow. And that's because I already gave out a couple other plays on Twitter, and Mark Zinno and I have the same best bet for tonight. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. But man, this is ugly. I'm not going to even lie to you and say that, oh yeah, I can't wait to bet this team. And sometimes those are some of the better plays. I'm taking the Wisconsin Badgers +2. Now, neither one of these teams are to be written home about, right? We got Wisconsin, who's 5-15 their last 20, and you've got Ohio State, who is 4-16 in their last 20. Neither one of them has been great, but you know where Wisconsin has been great this year? They've covered all 4 neutral site games. I'm not saying that's the only reason to bet on this team, but this team has been a little scrappy for me. Frankly, I've enjoyed being able to get the cover with them in several spots this year. Again, they're not a great team. They've only got 13 wins on the season. This is not some big play on them. This is probably more of a play against Ohio State. As you guys know, this team rattled off 5 straight losers, somehow at home gets a nice big win over Iowa. They hit every 3-point shot, and then they proceed to rattle off 9 losers in a row, beat up on Illinois, beat up on Maryland, lose on the road to Michigan State. It has been a crazy season in Columbus, and I think it ends tonight. I made this game a pick 'em, so at +2, there is some value here for me with the Badgers. And again, I know they don't do a lot of things particularly well, but what they do is they control the pace. They don't hit a lot of shots, but when they do, and that ball starts falling from 3, and they don't turn the ball over, cross your fingers. They are one of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country, and that's usually not a team that I like to back, but I will be backing them +2 tonight. I think they get the outright win.
To the Badgers. Sprinkle some on the money line there, Kelly?
I actually think it's worth a half money line play, half +2 play. I didn't say that on Twitter because I'm frankly tired of explaining what ML means on Twitter in the comment section and trying to explain to people how they should bet. So I just left it at +2. I mean, it could come down to the wire, a couple missed free throws by the Badgers. So just give me the +2. I do think if you are that type of bettor, I would do 50% of your 2 units. So 1 unit on the money line, 1 unit on the +2.
Like it. Good explanation there. Quick, guys. No need to go back and forth on Twitter. ML stands for money line. We got Mark Zinno at Mark Zinno. Mark, I mean, you have been hot, man. What are you doing right? And you got a big game breakdown for us?
I do. I'm going to stay in the Big Ten as well. I mean, I think there's a lot of situations early on in these conference tournaments that manifest themselves where you really have a disparity between good teams and bad teams. And Kelly just talked about the Big Ten. Like, there's a clear line between Ohio State and Minnesota at the bottom of the Big Ten, and the two other teams sitting in the next two spots I got to play in the play-in round or the first round, whatever you want to call it. As Nebraska is taking on Minnesota tonight. Now, again, there's a reason why Minnesota has only won 2 conference games. They are terrible. Nebraska's won 5 of their last 6, covered 6 of the last 9, including beating Minnesota by 11 in the third to the last regular season game. Now, the Cornhuskers, over the last 3, shooting 53% from the field. This is a good shooting team. It's like underrated. They're at 46% for the year. That's top 80 in the nation. So they can shoot the ball. That's good. You give Nebraska the overall edge in scoring, shooting, rebounding. But again, a really, really inept Minnesota offense that's 344th in the nation in scoring. Now, I have some good news and I have some bad news. Here's the bad news first. Nebraska, 352nd in the nation in free throw shooting at 63.8%. Leading scorer, forward Derek Walker. The guy's built like a linebacker. He's huge. He's a 54% free throw shooter. So, he's 265 pounds banging around the middle. Guy can't make a simple free throw. Here's the good news. Minnesota, even worse of a free throw shooting team, 363rd in the nation at 61%. So just watch both of these teams brick free throws all night long. Look, I hope we're not going to be in that spot where free throws are going to matter. It's at 5.5. I'm seeing 6s pop up, and in a game with bad free throw shooting, like the number matters probably a little bit more than we say. I agree with CT that the numbers don't necessarily matter. So it's more about matchups, and I don't think this matchup will play here. Minnesota's got nothing to play for in this. Nebraska, again, they're not going to the tournament, but them making a little bit of noise here, or at least, sort of getting through into the next round for pride, I guess, counts for somewhat. But I'm going to land at 5.5 at Nebraska tonight for my big game breakdown.
Drew, can I chime in really quick? Because the number does matter, as somebody who laid 3.5 with Wake earlier. And I wanted to absolutely vomit. I was watching, like, okay, cool, we're going to overtime. Just onions. Just nail a monster 3. And I'm like, fuck. Of course, I had the worst number possibly available. And that was my own fault. You guys, we talk about this all the time. It is always important to get the best of the number. I thought the matchup didn't matter as much, and I was wrong.
Number does matter when it comes down to the end. Yeah, but it's also about matchups at the same time. You can make an argument for that, Mark. Guys, for my big game breakdown, before we get to best bets, we talked about it earlier on the college basketball betting show right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Northern Arizona, Montana State in the Big Sky Championship, as you're sweating out CT's big game breakdown. This one going simultaneously, 11:30 p.m. Eastern time, from Boise, Idaho, in the Idaho Central Arena. That's where Idaho, the Steelheads, the minor league hockey team, play. And for whatever reason, Northern Arizona has been lighting it up from the outside. They scored 87, 81, and 83 points in their 3 Big Sky tournament games. Jalen Cohn, the Virginia Tech transfer, he scored 25 plus in their last 4 of their last 5 games. He's also their point guard. And we talked about it with Texas A&M a couple weeks ago. When your best player is your point guard in March, I think there's correlation to your team performing better offensively because the ball starts out in his hands, and Northern Arizona scoring more. Montana State, they're 76% from the free throw line. They're 7.5-point favorites tonight. So if it becomes a foul fest, which, let's face it, guys, the winner of this game's going to the tournament, and the loser, I mean, their season's pretty much over here. So foul fest potential down the end. We're going to see it in this game if it's close, if it's 7 points, 10 points, something of that nature. And seeing this total at 135 right now. It was as low as 134.5. It's been bumped up. So as we're going live right now for the hustle, it's 135. I like it up and over 135. Northern Arizona, Montana State in the Big Sky Championship game. That's my big game breakdown here. We talked about Pac-12 Conference of Champions. This is just coming to my head right now. Do you think Conference of Champions is the best slogan for any conference out there? Is there any others that you guys like? I remember the Big 12, as we're Big 12 heavy here, Mark Zinno, as I know you know. They had that one true champion kind of slogan for a little while. I thought that was kind of catchy.
Whoever they pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to come up with these terrible slogans. One true champion when you don't even have a championship. Give me a fucking break. That was dumb. I'm really glad that no longer exists in the Big 12.
Want to know what I'm the most excited about UCLA going to the Big Ten is every time we watch a UCLA game, we don't have to hear Bill Walton say, "Oh, the Conference of Champions." He's not going to say that anymore. How great is that? And Drew, I just wanted to clarify what Zinno was saying. Kel, I'm always trying to get the best of the number. What Zinno was saying, what I said this year about college basketball, you know how we always say, you and I bet numbers, not teams. What I've been known for saying this year is the numbers have not mattered. Bet the matchup. You know what I mean? But always go find the best of it for sure.
I apologize, CT. I didn't mean to miss.
No, I didn't. I just didn't want anybody to think that I was an idiot after you said that, Mark.
I mean, okay.
I only look stupid.
Betting good numbers is so important for sure.
Absolutely.
I think it needs to be stated though, CT, like it's not always apples to apples, like college basketball totals. And we've talked about this. They'll move so much that I want to be on the right side of like the move rather than just like up 160 to 160.5. Like I can't bet it now. It's not the same as 2.5 to 3 to 3.5 in the NFL for sides, man. But I get it.
I'll add this. I mean, look what happened today. I talked to you guys about the show that Pitt covered against Georgia Tech. Now, that line opened up at 6.5. It was at 7 all last night. It was at 7 this morning. By about 10 or 11 o'clock this morning, it had bumped up to 8. And then by about 2 o'clock, it was back down to 7 again right before it tipped off. So if you went in that window and grabbed it at 8, you only pushed today. You didn't win because it landed on 8 as the game. So, yeah, I mean, I should have clarified that the number always matters. Yes, I 1,000% agree with everybody. Why get a bad number if there's a better one available out there? But, with the matchups being with with my Nebraska Minnesota match, it's a matchup play that Nebraska is a better team at this point in time than Minnesota is. And there's not really anything statistically that puts the two of them on the same page. So, but yes, I'd rather have the 5.5 and the 6 when some doink is bricking free throws at the end of the damn game.
Absolutely. And we were also talking about free throw percentages and how big those are. I know, Kelly, you were talking about Wisconsin struggling with theirs. I mean, it's really hard for me to bet teams that struggle at the free throw line, like less than 70%. I always kind of pump the brakes. Not that I won't bet them. I just don't like betting them because of what Mark's talking about. Hitting free throws at the end of the game is such a big part of the sport.
It is. And hitting him throughout the course of the game is such a big deal. There's a lot of teams that draw a ton of fouls, and those are the types of teams I also want to bet on. I mean, they're literally called free throws for a reason. And I was joking with somebody the other day. Mark Titus just started at Barstool, and people in the comments were going, could 5 of you, like short people, not any tall people were listed in this, but it was like me, Nadu, Rico, and a couple others. Could you guys beat Titus on 5-on-1? And I'm like, absolutely. I'll just draw fouls and just hit free throws. That's the only thing I can do. Like, I can't play basketball anymore. I'm too short. But I can hit free throws. Now, I understand you're in a crowded arena, sight lines, weird things happen, yada, yada, yada. But I do think it's almost unexcusable for teams not to be hitting at least 75% from free throw stripe. Like, it's called the charity stripe for a reason, guys.
Agree, Kelly. Yeah, it's frustrating, too, when you're betting on the team and they're missing it. Oh, man, not much as frustrating as that. We do have questions here in the chat box we're going to hit. And by the way, guys, we're going live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, wherever you're downloading your podcast at The Hustle Show Podcast. Thanks for joining us. If you could smash that like button, that helps us out. And feel free to comment below. We'll be going next Wednesday as well. We'll answer any questions on the show. We got Douglas saying anyone with any NBA looks tonight. Mark, I know you're involved in the association. Is that your best bet, or do you want to just throw out a couple now?
Mean, there's one look I have in the NBA tonight, and it's maybe I'm trying to be too sharp here, but the Miami Heat are at home today taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Miami's getting 2.5. Now, the Heat are the worst home cover team in the NBA. They've covered 9 home games this year. That's it. They stink at home as far as covering the number, but it's only the 4th time this year that they've been a dog. So they're 2-1 against the number when they are a dog at home. Cleveland coming off a big overtime win against Boston here. Over the last 3 games, Cleveland's lost all 3 of them on the road. They're giving up 123 points per game on the road. I know that the Kyle Lowry injury is still kind of wreaking havoc with the Heat offense. He's questionable to play. I mean, you could wait and see. I don't think Kyle Lowry is going to move the line all that much regardless. But I like the Heat tonight at home. I wouldn't even consider a money line sprinkle all that bad. But, again, this is probably me trying to be a little bit too sharp here. Cleveland's really been very good offensively as of late at home. And, again, this is only their 3rd road game, Cleveland, since, dating back to the All-Star break. So they haven't been on the road all that often. They've been bad on it. I'll take the Heat tonight.
Drew, on that one, do we have any opinion on the total? I know a really sharp friend of mine texted me earlier that he liked the under. I bet it at 215.5.
Well, I would tell you, Kelly, that the under absolutely favors Miami there because, again, that means Cleveland's offense isn't doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, this to me feels like a 105-99 kind of final. That's kind of what I made it, in that spot, Miami winning the game in that range, 105-99. They're going to have – Cleveland's offense isn't good. They've just been good as of late, right? They've hit a little bit of a stretch here. But overall in the season, that's like a team that scores the 6th fewest points in the league. All season long, Cleveland. So they're not great offensively. I'll take Miami at home tonight.
Like it. Good stuff in the association there from Mark Zinno at Mark Zinno on Twitter. CT Kelly, we got XFL, spring training going. Are you guys touching anything but college basketball?
Nope.
Drew, it's freaking March.
Better than this, Drew. Come on.
Come on. I haven't even started the NBA yet. I lied. I've started a little bit of NBA, just kind of looking at it, following along, watching a couple games here and there. After the All-Star break, things really start to get going. You know who wants to play. You know which coaches aren't tanking or are tanking, more importantly, and that kind of stuff. But we don't start doing anything else until April. Just it is college basketball for the next, 27 days or something.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, when XFL is on, do you even watch? Is it catching your attention at all?
No, you catch funny things with the snake beer or whatever that thing is, where they put all the cups together. Yeah, that's the only thing I see on my Twitter feed. Oh, and then there was a fist fight that broke out and a bunch of guys got suspended.
It doesn't even make my 5th TV in my office. Doesn't even make that, Drew.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So CT, what's the schedule like? It's March Madness, and then in April.
March Madness, and then I'll go to the ice, CT pucks for NHL, and then come NBA playoffs, I'll start dabbling in that a little bit, and we do a few shows here.
I know you're not betting it, but are you watching spring training at least? Because I'll watch spring training.
No.
Yeah, in person. I'm going to go to some games in person, but I'm not going to watch it on TV. I don't even watch regular baseball on TV.
Okay, well, I'm a baseball.
I'd rather paint my office. See that? Over there, I need to paint.
Yeah.
So I'd rather do that than watch spring training on TV.
When Kelly and I do get an itch to bet an MLB game, and it's very rare, we have guys like Trig and Drew who handicap it, and Queen who handicap it daily for us, and we just grab one of theirs and we say, okay, get a nice little sweat tonight. That's all.
Well, Florida Kelly's now in the house. I mean, you're right there in kind of spring training,
Yeah,
haven.
we've got 5 teams, I think, in an hour. So I'm going to go to the Braves spring training game. Yeah, I'm going to go to the Braves spring training game when I get back from Napa on Wednesday. I think it'll be great.
Tampa and go see the Yankees. That's it's a great minor league stadium.
It is. I've driven by it. It's very nice. But I don't know. Maybe when Queen's in town, we'll consider it.
Good stuff, guys. March Madness is here. We got best bets as well. Again, we're brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Use the promo code HUSTLE20 at checkout. It takes 20% off. Please comment below what's your best bet. Any questions, we'll answer them on next week's show. We got Mark Zinno in the house for Adam Trigger, going around the horn here with best bets. Any final thoughts for the show? Give him a follow on Twitter at Mark Zinno. Find him at Sports Grid, Pickwise. Mark, what else you got going on? And you got a best bet and any final thoughts for us?
Best bet for tonight. I'm going to go to the Big 12, your guys' conference. Full disclosure, I just text Kelly what my best bet was before we had even talked. So I was only added to the group text late. I found out I was the added guy.
Anyway. You are the added guy, but okay. So we have 85 different texts, right? Like me and CT and Ariel have a text. Me and Drew and Joe have a text. I just added you to the hustle because it sounds like you're going to be more of a staple going forward. I wasn't going to subject you to that previously.
No, I don't. Listen, Trigger and CT got me in on a group chat. It's hilarious. So, I don't mind. It keeps me entertained throughout the day. All right. Anyway, into the Big 12. West Virginia laying 4 against Texas Tech. Texas Tech, I think, is checked out. They've lost their last 3 in a row. Looks like the fight is gone from this team. On the flip side, WVU showing fight on the way out. Still trying to make their case maybe for an outside chance at the NCAA tournament. They beat K-State. Sorry, Kelly. Beat Iowa State. Lost to Kansas by 2 at Fog Allen Fieldhouse and beat OK State in their last 4. Over the last 3 games, Mountaineers shooting 47% overall and 58% on their 2-point shots. Over their last 3 as well. Get this. WVU averaging 9 steals a game. Who the hell gets 9 steals? This is a team that scores 76 a game, and you want to give them more possessions? That is a huge lift for the Mountaineers. Texas Tech has an advantage on the glass and they're the better shooting team. So West Virginia can't have this game where they drop from 47% shooting down to like 42. They've got to stay in that season range around 45 and make a good amount of their threes here to make sure they just keep Texas Tech chasing. WVU demolished Texas Tech in the first meeting in Lubbock, right? The game that they played in Morgantown, the game that Texas Tech beat the Mountaineers. West Virginia had an 8-point lead with 8:40 left in the second half. They went 3 for 13 down the stretch and lost by 6. That's not happening again. We're going to take West Virginia here, minus the 4. And just for the crowd out there, a Joe Ranieri impression for everybody. Kel, the Mountaineers, 28th in the nation in first half scoring. Give me the Mountaineers in the first half, minus 2.
Oh, boy. I actually do like them better in the first half. I will say a little side note. I did give out K-State. That was the first K-State loser I had all year. And that was because about 30 minutes prior to tip, I got a text that Desi Sills was going to be out. And he was really missed. I mean, K-State looked good for about the first 10 minutes of the first half and then was down a couple points at halftime. And that was about all she wrote. So just a little asterisk there. But I am with Zinno on West Virginia. I do like them tonight.
And it looks like it's been a little touch towards Texas Tech here in the last few minutes. So you can get them as low as minus 3.5 here, Mark, if you head to the offshores. So for record-keeping purposes, we can give you an extra 0.5 point on that one.
Because remember, points matter.
Nice job, Mark.
Boom, boom, boom. Mark Zinno bringing the heat here. We got Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Check her out, Barstool Sportsbook. She does a show there with Megan Making Money. I believe Jeff Nadeau as well, all over their YouTube and all over the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Kelly, what else you got going on? Any final thoughts and a best bet?
Yeah, like I said, Mark took West Virginia from me. A good breakdown by him. I like them as well. I am going to take K-State plus 2.5. Thursday lines are already out. I gave this out earlier on Bet On It, but please still go watch that show. Ralph and Marco provide a lot of really good insight for tomorrow's games. Now, bottom line here, I know CT is going to laugh because that's what I was talking about with St. Mary's last night about the defense. And I am a sucker for always taking the better defense plus the points here. This is a K-State team that lives and dies by turnovers. And that has been their Achilles heel. That's how they got obliterated in Fort Worth on January 14th. They turned the ball over way too many times. Then they fall back up about a month later in Manhattan and do the exact opposite. They banged down a bunch of threes. They didn't turn the ball over. They capitalized off TCU's turnovers, and they made their free throws. Drew, I know I just said that I only like to bet teams that shoot over 75% from free throw land, but K-State's actually 74.9%. So I guess I have to make a little asterisk there. TCU, on the other hand, the worst free throw shooting team in the Big 12, and it's not even close, shooting just barely over 70%. They're actually 250th in the country. So they're not even that great considering the rest of the Division I teams. But TCU's shown some moments of greatness there this year, right? No doubt. I know a lot of people that think this team has a shot to win the Big 12. I do not. They can't hit a wide open 3-point shot to save their lives unless they're playing a team named Texas Tech. I do not buy this Horned Frogs team. And frankly, I was kind of perplexed by the line. I made the game a pick 'em. I said 2.5. I texted my buddy Tim, who's really close with the team, who was the same one that texted me that Desi was going to be out. I said, who's out today or tomorrow? And he said, nobody that I know of as of yet. Obviously, the game goes tomorrow night. So keep an eye on that. But as far as I know, everybody is a go, catching 2.5 in Kansas City. Now, I'm not saying Kansas City is Manhattan, but it looks like about 5,000 K-State fans will be at T-Mobile tomorrow. And I do think that that's something to consider here. I don't know how many Horned Frog fans are coming up from Fort Worth. That would be a CT Bets question. But know that K-State deserves at least a 1-point edge here as far as a home court goes. Granted, I try not to buy into that too much, but it's only a 90-minute drive. There's going to be a lot of K-State fans there, and maybe some of them are going to stay at home until Saturday in hopes that they can beat TCU. We'll see. Greg's asking if it's 1.5. I have not seen – I bet 2 earlier. I have not seen it move. But let me open up the WagerTalk odds screen while CT Bets gives his best bet.
Yeah, Kelly, I'm seeing plus 1.5 on Kansas State. Actually, plus 2.5.
So there we go. 2.5 is what I got. There is 2.5s available, correct?
Yeah, there's 2.5s out there.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay. Yeah. So definitely shop around again if that hasn't already been the theme of the evening. Take a look there, guys, and make sure that you are getting the best of the number.
And Kelly, anything on Kansas City here, Kansas City, Missouri? I'm seeing T-Mobile Center. You touched on it a little bit, but for the people that might not know, I know you're from somewhat around the area and a Big 12 alumni. Anything you want to say about like the location? Does it favor one team or the other throughout the tournament?
Well, if anything, it favors Kansas. Obviously, Kansas is about a 30-minute drive from there. Lawrence is about a 30-minute drive from there. So definitely keep an eye on that for KU. KU's always kind of got their sights set on other areas. Bill Self just asked for a raise for himself and his staff. I made some terrible jokes on the internet about it, but it's true. This team is probably worth 1.5. So note that in your handicapping. I mean, when you're that close of proximity, it's going to be what it is.
Right. Proximity is very important. Like, Mark, before the mouth of the South, by the way, guys, in the SEC, like when the tournament was in Atlanta, it was called Catlanta in Nashville. What do you think it helps out Tennessee that much? Maybe Vandy, any kind of favoritism there with the location in the SEC?
I mean, when it's in Atlanta, it's going to favor, the bigger schools because it's an easy place to travel in and out of, right? Like it's not hard for Kentucky to get here, to major. If they send it to somewhere in North Carolina, it's a little bit more difficult for them to get to. You get a big major airport here. So it favors the bigger schools and the bigger teams when they come to Atlanta. Florida, Kentucky, everybody else in the SEC, LSU, they all make the trip here easily.
Absolutely. And CT Betts, Big 12 alumni himself. What do we got for best bets? Final thoughts, buddy?
Drew, final thoughts and a couple housekeeping items here. First of all, just saw Jimmy Jackson chime in. The three of us, I know, Mark, you're just getting acclimated here on the Hustle, but Jimmy Jackson is a longtime Hustle listener. We are big fans of his. He's a big fan of Viva. Just wanted to say hi to him because he hasn't been commenting in a while. So that's awesome. And the other housekeeping item here, Drew, as you know, first weekend of March Madness, Trig and I are hosting a WagerTalk /Viva watch party weekend at Turning Stone Casino in New York. Mark Zinno will be there. A lot of our friends and loyal Hustle listeners, Aaron Kidd, Keith Landry down in the Bayou, Guns, everybody coming up for it. We got a lot of the Wager Talk and the Sports Memo handicappers coming up. It's going to be a great time. We're going to be there from Thursday to Sunday. The games are also live in Albany, so we're going to be taking a couple of trips down there. It's about a half hour away, Drew, to see the live games, have some Vivas, and kind of just bang some winners together and have a good time. It's just going to be a fun weekend, and it's going to be nice to be on East Coast time. Watching.
What are you talking about? It's going to be a hot mess.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a lot better than what Kelly, Drew, and I are used to the last 3 years, and waking up for games that start at 9 in the morning, Mark. So
yeah, I'm not going to lie. Staying out till 3 a.m. and then having to do a show at 6 a.m. and then the game start at 9, where you just lay there in the fetal position from that 6 a.m. to like 8:40, and then CT's like texting you, "Where the fuck are you?" And you're just like, "I'm trying." Okay. It's really hard.
It's very hard. So, Drew, thank you for letting me get those out. And I'm going to cruise over to my best bet here. I tweeted my best bet out this morning because I had a feeling it was going to move. And I'm just going to say it right now before the analysis because it looks like a pretty sharp book just made my best bet the favorite here. And it's Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners is my best bet tonight. I bet it this morning, Drew, +2. There's still some ones out there, 1.5s out there, but it looks like they might be flipping to the favorite here. And both of these teams, they had a pretty disappointing seasons, right? But they did so in the best conference in the country. Both teams also closed out the season with a win this past Saturday. OU blowing TCU out and Oklahoma State beating Texas Tech. Both teams ended the season on somewhat of a high note here. Oklahoma State, talk about an up and down season. They're 1-4 straight up in their past 5 games. Ever since senior guard Avery Anderson went out with a wrist injury, season-ending wrist injury, this team really hasn't been the same and really has been doomed, Drew. Though they did beat the Sooners in both regular season meetings this year, the Sooners, on the other hand, they only won 4 of their last 12 games, but I do want to point out those wins that they won, those 4 out of the last 12, they were over ranked Alabama, ranked Kansas State, ranked Iowa State, and ranked TCU teams here. So they have some nice wins on their resume here. And this past Saturday, they led from start to finish, throttling TCU at home by 14. They played a great game. I also want to point out that they had a huge game on the glass. They out-rebounded TCU 40 to 26. Senior guard Grant Sherfield, he leads OU in scoring. The transfer from Nevada. Trig and I, very high on this kid. We talked a lot about him last year. He's been a huge shot in the arm for this OU offense because there really wouldn't be too much offense if Sherfield wasn't here. He could really fill it up. And freshman guard Milos Uzen, he's been a pleasant surprise for the Sooners team as well. OU, in my opinion, I was telling Zinno this morning, they have better shooters. They run a better offense than the Pokes. The Pokes, they tend to be very sloppy on offense at times. They're known for taking terrible shots. Not sure if you saw that Oklahoma State versus Baylor game a couple of big Mondays ago, but Drew, they were just pulling shots from half court. Terrible three-point shooting performance in that game, and I kind of feel like we might see that again tonight. I thought this was an interesting stat. The Pokes are 0-4 ATS in their last 4 neutral site games and 1-5 ATS in their last 6 games overall. Sooners 7-1 ATS in their last 8 neutral site games. That's what we have here tonight, a neutral site game. Sooners have played well this year in primetime games against some elite competition. Perfect example, the Bam Bam game. We all know what happened there. They smoked Bam Bam in OU. No one likes losing to their rivals 3 times in a year. Sooners could get it done, both ends of the floor. They're going to challenge the Pokes, create some problems for them. This team has not been the same without Anderson. Play on OU +1, +1.5 pick. I think Oklahoma gets this win tonight, Drew.
Yeah, CT Bets, nice breakdown. It does look like a split line looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, best free live odds in the industry. You can find one on both sides of it. So for record keeping purposes, CT, you got Oklahoma +1. Some sharper books moving to Oklahoma -1. Guys, to finish up best bets here, I'm going on the Georgia Bulldogs +3. Hold your tongue here.
Oh,
Take
Drew.
the field goal up against
I was so
LSU.
close, and I was like, I can't do it. That is gross.
Oh,
That's
it's so gross. It's probably the grossest.
I'm not gonna lie. I looked at it. I genuinely.
I did too, but I was like, "Fuck this."
I'm
I don't mind like swimming in the shit. I'm not like diving deep. Like I'm not doing that to myself.
This is an Andy Dufresne crawling through 500 yards of shit to freedom kind of play here.
It is so bad.
The Andy Dufresne play of the night. Let's call it that way. Who the heck is LSU laying points to anybody? That team won 1 SEC game all season long. They are not very good. Mike White, first season in Athens. He's going to start turning it around for the future. Take the Bulldogs, national champions in football, trying to bring it to the hardwood here, plus the 3 to stay within a field goal. Last thing in the chat box here, guys. Abe saying, do you guys ever come out west? Absolutely. We'll all be out west at the Westgate, I believe.
Yeah, I'll be in Napa tomorrow. Of course I'm going to be out west.
There you go.
I don't think that's the West he's talking about.
I don't think so either.
Las Vegas in August, though, guys.
We'll
little kickoff for the college football into NFL season. So
I already can't wait not to go.
Yep, same.
No, but it's happening, though, right, KAV?
It's happening. I've already got the golf tournament scheduled with John Murray over at the country club. It's happening. Last year we had a great time.
Of course, you know.
All right. Well,
you know why it's a great time? Because there's like hardly any games on. That's why it's great. Because you can actually go do other Vegas shit instead of sit in the Smoky Sportsbook for hours on end watching kids. Just like I'm talking like top 25 ranked kids miss wide open layups. I mean, there's a video that Brett tweeted out, I think sometime around this time last year, of me from, I think it was 2019, of me just like screaming in the Westgate clubhouse for someone to get to the basket because they just couldn't. They one of the best teams in the paint all year, and they couldn't even get to the basket against some team that I'd never even heard of. Like that's the kind of infuriating stuff that happens, and I feel like going to Orlando with Drew and Joe to watch the games, going to Madison Square Garden with CT and Queen like the following week, that kind of stuff. I just want to try something new. And maybe I still have a horrible March and I hate everyone and everything, but I needed a break from Vegas. Just one March Madness out of Vegas.
Yeah.
Understood. Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Check her out, Barstool Sportsbook, WagerTalk.com. We had CT Bet 16 on Twitter, Chris Thurston, and Mark Zinno at Mark Zinno on Twitter. I am Drew Martin. Guys, that does it for the show. Recap here. 4 best bets. We got Zinno, West Virginia, minus the 3 in the hook. CT Bets, Oklahoma, Boomer, Sooner, can find them +1. Kelly in Vegas on K-State, little +2.5 we can give her looking at the Wager Talk live odds screen, and that's on Thursday night, guys. Yep. So we got one pending after tonight, and I am on the Georgia Bulldogs plus the field goal here against LSU. Check out
before we go. I want to run one more thing. We got 4 minutes. I want to run more thing around you guys. So I do a Calcutta every year. Last year it was like $1.6 million. It is absolutely ridiculous, and I have no business running with these guys because I don't have pockets like that. St. Peter's saved our ass. Otherwise, we would have each lost about $30,000, and then that would have been the last Calcutta Kelly was ever in. So that being said, I think we only lost like $6,500. I was like, all right, fine. I don't want to die after Vegas for 2 weeks and then, losing this. But I had him text me today, give me your Calcutta teams. I got a whole list of teams that I want, and then obviously ones I don't want. But who's going to win it all? This has been the discussion. And, it always seems like a 1 or 2 seed is always in the Final Four. But I don't think that there's a definitive 1, 2, or 3 seed that I'm like, yep, they're winning it all. The end. End of story. Nobody agree. No, I mean.
I would tell you this. I'm fading Alabama. I don't think they get into
fair. I'll do the same.
I don't trust them. Sweet 16, I think, is their limit. Their absolute limit. The SEC has way too much parity. Nobody is that much better than anybody else. So they're a little bit of a paper tiger there. I don't like Alabama, but I still think Kansas, I know it makes you sick, Kelly. They're so complete on both ends of the
I think you don't realize that I love money way more than fandom. But
no, I do.
I had KU last year to win the Natty.
Trying to be respectful, that's all. I'm still feeling my way out.
Listen, I'm not Trig or J Buff with Syracuse. I can take the real comments here.
Gil, I agree with you. I don't think there's really elite standout teams. I really don't.
So if you had to draft a team, right? So Calcutta is like, you got your little auction stick and you bid on teams, right? And we're talking the most expensive team last year, I think, was $280,000.
Jesus.
And then somebody only paid $22,000 for North Carolina and ended up winning $650,000. So those are the types of teams I'm looking for.
Sure.
Not that I could just go to the bank and hedge, but I would figure it out. Let's put it this way. If we had set North Carolina last year, I would have figured it out.
If you love defense, they probably won't be any higher than a 4 seed at best, but A&M may be a way to go.
That's like A&M.
A&M, maybe Creighton.
Even Providence to get you. UConn has got to be the other one that everyone's looking at, right?
Yeah, UConn will go for big money though, because everybody knows they're elite.
Yeah, you got to pay for listen, if it's a Power 5 school, you're paying for the names. I think we paid $2,000 for St. Peter's last year.
Even though it's Power 5, well, technically Power 6 Big East, but Providence, again, they made a great run last year.
Stop it, Zeno. Stop. I'm going to stop you right there with Providence.
They're gonna lose to UConn tomorrow. Yeah, it's tough. Drew Martin bets. Who do you think? Who do you have to win it all? Do you have an actual futures bet besides A&M at 150 to 1? I understand your thought process there. Do you really think A&M can win the whole thing?
Well, Kelly, it was 200 to 1. You keep shaving off these 50 points.
Sorry,
$50 to win 10,000,
which is insane.
Yeah. Actually, Mark touched on 2 of them. I'm not 100% sure how it works with Calcutta, and that's obviously a big reason in answering this question. But I would go with, if you're looking for like one shorter, I would go with UConn. If you made me pick a team that's going to win the national championship, I would pick UConn. And then if you wanted a team like with a little bit more, bang for your buck, if you will, swing for the fences, I would go with the Texas A&M Aggies. That's how I would answer the question.
All right. I think A&M is going to be expensive because the Calcutta is with a bunch of Texas oil guys.
Yeah.
Former proxy customers. Well, my former proxy customers, still Brett's proxy customers. But that being said, it's just kind of one of those things where I'm looking and I'm going, Miami, A&M, NC State, Northwestern, Kentucky, San Diego State, Oral Roberts, Baylor, Nevada, Gonzaga, Xavier, TCU, Mississippi State, Chattanooga, Marquette, Kennesaw State, and Colgate. That's the list I sent them today.
You left out one. Again, I'm not a huge believer in them, but I think that they're an Elite 8 team automatically, and that's Purdue.
But they're gonna go for like $100,000. That's my problem.
I don't have
one
preference.
seed. So how it works is
Yeah.
each round that your team wins, you make money,
Gotcha.
right?
Oh,
So you get paid like $5,000 for the first round. You get paid $10,000 for the second, right? And then obviously there's a bigger pool if you have the team to win it all.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Okay.
I mean, again, I just, I don't think they're national title, but I mean, I think they're playing for a game to go to the Final Four this year.
Okay. And maybe you get them cheap. I mean, that's kind of the crazy thing. And I wanted to go there for content purposes, but I think it fringes on that legalized gambling. Is it gambling? What are we doing here kind of thing? And I don't want to get in trouble from work.
Drew, I've been talking about Trig and I've been talking about Houston all year long. I agree with you. We bet them 12-1 at the beginning of the year. We have more 10-1. I'm with you. I think it's the most complete team in college basketball. I think
and they're going to have a home court advantage if they get to the Final Four.
Yeah, they are going to be very, very dangerous. They play great defense, and man, they could really shoot the lights out. So same page, buddy.
Agreed, CT. And Kelly, I thought it was a sharp call because it works into your Houston thing. You brought up a bunch of Texas oil guys. In using that in your handicap of where the other people you're going up against are going to be betting on.
You're absolutely right. And you can, and that's the beauty of it, right? So last year, I think there was 1.2 million. This year, they're projecting $1.7 million in the pool. But when you have pockets that are that deep and you got 5 millionaires on a team, they don't care about spending $100,000 on a team.
Right.
To them, $20,000 a piece. So I think part of the handicap is too, is kind of like you do at an auction. I don't really want that, but can I get it on the cheap? And that's how we got St. Peter's last year. I think the opening bid was $500 and nobody bid us after 2,000. They're like, who wants this 15 seed? And that's kind of where I think you're right. There's you're going to pay a premium for Texas A&M, TCU, Baylor, those type of teams because of just the geographical location of where most of the people are from.
I suppose you have to go into that with a number in mind that you're absolutely going to stop bidding on a certain team. Like,
absolutely.
I'll pay $30K, but I ain't paying $35K. That's it.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, like if K-State was $12,000, they're not going to be. But if K-State was $12,000 and I'm on a video call with the guys, I'm like, fuck it, take K-State. They're gonna win 2 games, right? Once the brackets come out. But that's the other thing is I want to see where the brackets come out. I want to see who's gonna have some of those advantages geographically and who's going to have to go all the way to, one coast or the other from where they're used to playing at.
Great points. Sharp calls there. Kelly Stewart at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Chris Thurston at CTBet16. Mark Zinno at Mark Zinno. I'm Drew Martin. Guys, we'll be back next Wednesday. Please smash that like button. Feel free to comment below. Cash those tickets. Thanks for tuning in.